I ask you, how excited are you about tomorrow night's NFL draft?
Dude.
And before I even give you my thoughts, I'm going to kick it to Danny G. Boo-hoo.
I'm not going to cry and unless they draft an edge
rusher.
That we've never heard of that is supposed to go in late second round or something like that.
If the Raiders don't trade up for a quarterback, boo-hoo. I'm reading right now on NFL Network, on FS1, on ESPN. Everyone's talking about how aggressive are the Raiders going to be in trading up or attempting to trade up to get the quarterback of their choice, or could
Vikings and Broncos too?
Could Michael Penix Jr. drop to the 20s?
Everybody in the AFC West needs a star quarterback. Otherwise, you are never going to compete with the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Not really.
Impossible.
Look at what the Raiders did on Christmas. That's pretty much an anomaly because the defense played so good that day, but the offense, you remember Aiden O'Connell couldn't really move the ball that day. It was all Raiders defense. So the Raiders need somebody to at least compete with Aiden O'Connell and Minshew. Minshew, we've talked about him. He's a great spot starter. Could be a great starter down the road, but can the Raiders move up to get Jaden Daniels, who has a past with their new head coach? So that's why everyone put them together immediately. And Jaden Daniels has publicly said he loves Vegas, his favorite city. He loves Antonio Pierce, so he wants to play in Las Vegas. And then there's these rumors that his meeting with the Commanders didn't go so great because he really doesn't want to play there. Who knows? But we do know this. The Washington Commanders want a king's ransom to get up to that second pick.
Ooh,
and
I know.
I don't think a lot of teams want to pay what they want.
Well, think about it. They gave up a king's ransom to get RG3, so they almost probably have this like in the back of their mind like, well, you know, we want to be on the other end of that now. Here's my question. In past years, when you do a mock draft, whether you're Mel Kiper, COVINO, that's not Count Chocula, it's Mel Kiper. It's not a vampire. It's not a vampire. 1, 2, 3 draft picks. She's got that sweet widow's peak.
Come on. You sure that's Mel Kiper?
Whether you're Mel Kiper, CBS, Fox, NBC, DraftKings, Barstool, Fox, like whatever it is, everyone's mock draft this year is slightly different because there's more moving parts than ever before. So the spontaneity and the excitement, I think, by far trumps any other draft over at least the last decade, because outside of Caleb Williams at number 1, you really don't know if by tomorrow night, within the next 24 hours, will someone say, hey, Washington, we will give you all of that. We don't know which quarterbacks will go in the first round. There's speculation that it'll be the first time, maybe ever, that the first 10 picks are all offensive players.
Yeah, no defensive players.
And
which is indicative of where the league's headed, too. Like maybe just, hey, we're going for big scoring, exciting players.
I mean, there's going to be a team that walks away with Marvin Harrison Jr. Is it really automatically the Cardinals? I don't know.
I agree with you, Rich, because it's been awfully quiet. It has been very calm. Yeah. So tomorrow, I think it's going to be, the storm is going to happen. And everyone's just waiting last minute. What can they get? Apparently, the Patriots are willing to move out of their spot.
And there are certain positions where there's not a lot of depth.
Right.
You guys want a Wednesday fun fact?
Yeah.
You were talking about Reggie Bush and the NIL earlier. Because of the NIL, more draft-eligible players have been returning to school for the money. Only 58 underclassmen declared for this draft, the lowest number since 2011. And you guys know why.
Yeah, wow.
The Vikings are a team that want a quarterback. Sam Darnold could be a nice little placeholder to, mentor maybe a young J.J. McCarthy. But does he drop to number 11? Does Michael Penix Jr. Here's one mock draft I'm looking at, Danny G, that says Michael Penix Jr. is taken at number 12 by the Broncos. Now, there's other draft boards that say he drops to the 20s. I just think it's outside of Caleb Williams.
There's so many question marks as far as where they go, when they go, and whether or not they even pan out. That's what makes it exciting.
There's some draft gurus who think the Raiders might be able to trade back up into the bottom of the first round to get Penix Jr. I don't think he's going to make it down the draft board that far.
You know what I love about it the most, though? Forget about these question marks for a minute because nobody knows. When we talked to Jim Lampley about boxing and how he starts to cry on the air when he says he sees these boxers change their lives.
Speaking of crying.
Maybe he was just trying to get out of the interview.
No. Like when you see these athletes naturally and genuinely react in that moment with their families, that's the best part of it for me. Just to see that they changed their families' lives forever. For the most part, in that moment,
when I
and
see
that excitement, and anything can happen
Yeah.
in that moment. Like something weird always seems to happen in those moments. That adds to the excitement for sure.
Yeah, and when you see those top guys,
that's an emotional thing.
I have a soft spot for watching this guy get, any guy get drafted and start tearing up with his mom. I don't know. That always hits me. It's like,
yes, it's hey, we made the dream come true.
and think of
it's
a lot
a
of
team effort. It's a family effort.
Think of a lot of the narratives. A lot of these single moms that raise their sons to then change the stars of their family. Like, think of all what mom went through. So you see a lot of great
You
stories
might see
tomorrow.
some of their girlfriends clout chasing just to get in the shot.
Yeah.
Which I love.
Being too touchy.
Yeah, you're gonna see
Marking territory.
Yeah, all kinds of funny storylines tomorrow.
I said
for
it the
sure.
other day. My favorite is C.D. Lamb's
yeah.
girlfriend grabbing at his phone, and he's like, "Yo, you're not grabbing my phone anymore. I'm a Dallas Cowboy."
Like, oh, that's so good. That was such a funny moment.
Jaden Daniels is an interesting one. I was watching Speak earlier with Joy and the guys, and they were saying,
Is that the name now?
"Yeah, join the guys."
Join the guys.
Yeah.
That's good.
They were talking about Jaden Daniels, and like when you start comparing, now it's like Michael Vick, Lamar Jackson. Like, is he cut from the same pedigree and cloth? Could he just automatically start being a multi-tool star in the NFL? Like, I think so many of these questions are not answered.
Today, somebody called him a taller Kyler Murray.
Yeah, and then you say to yourself, well, if Washington, let's just say Washington isn't so sold on Drake May, and maybe they are willing to give up that pick, there might be teams that say, well, hold on a second. If they're not going to pick him, where will he drop to? There's so many little shenanigans going on, and I do wonder, is this like the moment for GMs and front offices to really shine or not? Like, it's really a matter of like who has the best poker face, who's got the best negotiating skills, because someone's going to be on the wrong end and the good end of deals.
And nobody's really talking about the Patriots, Rich. They've swung and missed on quarterbacks now since Brady has left.
Well, people say that for as great as Belichick was, and I'm sure we're going to love him on the coverage tomorrow, if there was one weak spot in the Bill Belichick armor, it was they didn't draft well.
Yeah, we've talked about that on this show. So I thought it was interesting that suddenly he's going to be part of the draft coverage. I'm like, that's the one thing you weren't that good at.
And like, look at last year, right? We went over yesterday.
By the way, that in itself is an exciting part of the draft, just to see how
I agree.
good he is, or just see how he reacts.
Yeah,
in his
remember
moments.
Dan Byer said that was the one part of the draft he was most excited for.
I know. When he said that, I thought he was kidding at first, but then I heard it. No, I'm like,
He was like,
Bill
yeah, he's
Belichick
like, no, I'm
exciting?
serious.
Yeah, he was serious because of his knowledge in that space, but like you said, it hasn't panned out to his advantage in the past.
We've been at Fox Sports Radio a couple years with this crew and Danny G and Monsi and Iowa Sam, and before that Ramos. So we've had a year or so where we've watched and hung with each other during drafts. And if you want to just rewind 1 year, there was who's the star of this draft, and everyone was convinced it was Bryce Young. And listen, bad team, but didn't really bring it. And then C.J. Stroud looks like, oh my God, how do we all miss on this guy? Superstar. They got more weapons in the offseason. They have sweet new uniforms. I'm telling you, that team is good. You're going to see a lot of kids wearing those sweet new Texans jerseys with Stroud on the back.
Oh, yeah.
So, and then you saw Will Levis got his shot, and then he got hurt, but he looked good at times. And Richardson looked great when he played, but then got hurt. So, there's so many question marks. How will these young quarterbacks translate? We don't know. And Danny G, the Raiders want a quarterback. I feel like you guys are willing to accept one of four of these guys.
And I don't want this to happen 2 years in a row. If I rewind back to when I was producing Steve Hartman on Saturdays, him and I were debating about C.J. Stroud, and I said, man, this guy's going to be a franchise quarterback. I wanted the Raiders, and I was yelling and shouting about it, to use their draft capital to go up and get him. They haven't had a franchise quarterback in forever, right? I mean, we're talking all the way back to Rich Gannon. Have they not really had a star quarterback? And they weren't able to go up and get it. Why? The Raiders GM at the time was down for it. Josh McDaniels vetoed it, did not want to go up and get C.J. Stroud. Just another bad decision he made. Now, is this going to happen a second year in a row where they aren't able to go up and get a franchise guy like Jaden Daniels? He turns out to be the next C.J. Stroud, and Raider fans are left again like, dang it, we missed again 2 seasons in a row.
I sent a clip in. I was saying, see if you could find this just to show how dopey fans are. Eddie sent it back. I don't know if you want. I'll forward it to you. I pulled the clip of when Buffalo Bills fans were just so aggravated that they chose Josh Allen. All the fans
Over
like
Josh
we
Rosen,
wanted
right?
Josh Rosen,
Yeah.
and then there's all clearly you've seen
That
the footage.
right there in itself proves that
We
you
don't-
never know how it's going to pan
You
out.
don't know, and I love the footage and the reports of, oh man, Mahomes will never be an NFL quarterback. He's too sloppy. He doesn't have control.
He talks funny.
He's reckless. He sounds like Kermit the Frog. Oh yeah, so we don't know, and that's sort of the fun of it because it's everyone's right tomorrow. And I find the funniest thing, and listen, we work in sports entertainment, so I don't want to bash coworkers, but
No, but you might be disappointed about a guy that pans out and vice versa. You might be excited about some dude that stinks it up.
I'm because I admit these things because I don't care. I find it ridiculous when people grade a draft. It's like grading a relationship on your first date. It's your first. It's like grading a relationship before you even go on your first date. Oh, she's the one. You haven't even gone out for a drink
before
yet.
you go on the first date.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You haven't been on a date yet, and you're grading the relationship? NFL draft grades are the dumbest thing in sports, radio, and television. Draft grades? Give me a break. I'm a Niners fan. I remember saying, yeah, Trey Lance, the future. I didn't even stick around to watch Purdy get drafted. Like a day later, I'm like, oh, they got another quarterback? Who? Purdy? Oh, Purdy. Okay, yeah. Come on. We don't know.
There's one more thing just as dumb. When fan bases get upset that their team traded picks and future number ones, who cares? As we say on the network, F them picks. The LA Rams proved that you can move that stuff, win a championship, and then, you got to shuffle things around a little bit afterwards, but they've done a nice job on the comeback last season making the playoffs, so it can be done. Most of the times the picks don't pan out anyways, so use that capital to go where you really want to go on the board.
So it all goes down tomorrow.
Makes me
what
laugh.
else, what else really pumps me up about all this is that we get free food tomorrow right here at Fox Sports.
Yeah.
Right? Isn't that the deal? Don't they bring in free food?
I mean, that's what I'm pumped about.
Someone
Pizza?
Someone said draft night is always free food.
Oh, yeah.
Officially, it's not for us. It's for the crew that starts.
But I'm
evening
digging in.
shift. Yeah.
Yeah,
screw that.
tomorrow. Wait, hold on.
I'm sorry. I don't understand.
Hold on 1 second. Tomorrow, my name is Steve Keim. I'll be. You could be. You're LeVar Arrington tomorrow.
Now, Rich, to really bring it home and to prove that, it could pan out in ways that we can't even foresee, take a listen to that Bills clip you're talking about.
The Buffalo Bills select Josh Allen. So the kid from Fresno who played his college ball in Wyoming is going
What are we
to
doing here?
New York.
What are we doing here?
Boo.
And then Josh Rosen, did he go on to just cut everybody up too who passed on him?
Josh Rosen, I feel bad for him, but I remember Josh Rosen had the stance of, if you passed on me in the draft, you'll see.
I'm gonna make you pay. You'll see. And look how that panned out. He didn't pan out, and Josh Allen's the guy. And you could hear the excitement because they hear Josh like, oh.
It's like, wasn't there an Academy Awards where two people had the same first name and the person started standing up? Oh. It's not me. All right, hey, COVINO and Rich, get excited, get pumped. Tomorrow's a big day, and like I said, and I think we all agree that because of the uncertainty and because of
Tomorrow's Christmas Day for football fans, for sure.
And because we really don't know where these teams are going, and maybe there'll be trades and picks, so it'll be a lot of fun tomorrow night.
By the way,
it out.
you think there will be any defensive surprises, considering they're saying not in the top 10 at all?
I don't think there's a guy in the first 5 or so that would really be impactful enough to pass up on some of these weapons. A lot of good wide receivers
Well,
also.
we'll
in the
find
draft.
out. We'll see.